What up, what up? Welcome to Off-Skripted Podcast for call center peeps, by call center peeps. I'm B-Rad. I'm joined by Iron Mike McGuire. We want to thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. This podcast is provided by NobelBiz Studios. NobelBiz actually provides call centers with native omni-channel solutions that help to optimize your ROI. So I want to start off right from the beginning, and I want to say a big fat thank you to our man behind the curtain, Dre, who you don't see because he refuses to be seen. Maybe we'll get him on screen here in the next couple episodes. But this guy, I mean, Dre, this doesn't happen without Dre. He guides us. He shows us what to do, how to press all the buttons and everything.
Man, the myth, the legend behind the desk.
The man, the myth, the legend behind the desk. So, Mike, I'm glad you made it. I know you weren't feeling too good this week. Glad you made it.
Yeah, I think, the travels lately, we've been in Vegas, around a ton of people, picked up something, but, they don't call me Iron Mike because I wimp out. So
that's for sure.
I'm here.
So you've been running
Let's
it all?
do it. Huh?
You've been running it all?
Yeah.
Are you that sick, or you're still keeping up a little bit?
I got a weird thing where I feel like if I completely stop, that I won't get going again. So I have to keep going. Now I did reel it back, right? So I got kind of a chest cold and a head cold, so I did reel it back.
Yeah.
But I got the NobelBiz jacket on today, our main sponsor. It's the black and the red. You know us from the Dragon.
Good. Well, you debuted that last week out at LeadsCon.
I did.
Let's jump right into it. LeadsCon was fantastic. I think we were walking forever, it seems, from our hotel to the where the convention center was, or wherever it was. And you're right, you lose like 5 pounds at these shows just from the walk. And I think we were on our way. You got like what? You got like 13 or 14 compliments on your jacket.
Yeah. So it was different. So LeadsCon's usually at the Paris, and now they've switched it this year to the MGM, which was kind of cool. I've been to LeadsCon 5 times now, and so the fact that they switched it up was which was a little different, but it was amazing to see, customers, friends. I went to my first LeadsCon when I was the president of Anomaly Squared. And so I really didn't know much about LeadsCon. I just kind of heard about it. It's this amazing event. Everybody goes. It's going to be a great time. And so I showed up the first time and, kind of blown away. And I've been there ever since. So,
yeah. No, it was the first time that I had been there. I had always heard about it, never really traveled to it. And it was really good to like meet up with clients, prospects that I've been going after as well. What's really fun about these shows, like in all the stuff that we anticipate, you never like you have an idea because we get the map, the floor map, right? Like where our booth's going to be. And so you can see like, oh, what companies are around us. And right behind us were the guys from Tel Vista.
Yeah.
Stephen Ashley and Brandon Young. And I ran around the corner just to like say hey and whatever, just to meet your neighbors. Like, remember the question? We're gonna do a whole episode on what do you do?
Yeah,
what do you do? But anyway, those guys were awesome. I got to meet Brandon, and I don't even think we talked business for the first 10 minutes. The guy's, a fantastic dude, very personable. And I said to him, I was like, I think we had the same barber because he's got the same haircut that I do with the same beard. So hopefully, I'm working on getting him on the show.
Well, to add a little context to that, so I went over there and said hi. He knows the same people. We ended up taking a picture. He sent it to my buddy, and my buddy got up that next morning and sent it to me and was like, hey, what a small world. So they've done some work for the company that I used to work for. So it was pretty awesome to see how interconnected the space really is. And the people that don't know about LeadsCon, I guess, it is a event for lead generation type activities, but I don't think people realize the lead gen space and how large it is and all the different avenues that it touches, anywhere from signing up for Medicare, Medicaid to ACA plans to
solar,
saving
seen an
money on
explosion
car
of solar.
insurance. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a pretty big, amazing space in the contact center world.
And this year, I mean, I guess you had him last year. It was the first time that I got to hang out with him at LeedsCon. We actually got our main squeeze, Christian Montez, got to join us. That was pretty. It was good taking him. I mean, taking him along, but us tagging along with him. There he is.
Yeah,
Christian
there's
got to hang out with us, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, he pretty amazing guy with a lot of knowledge, right? And
yeah,
so he's still my go-to anything I need to, dive down into the weeds on
yeah.
telco and stuff like that. But
And the guy knows his Asian cuisine. Like,
oh,
holy cow!
what about Japanese whiskey, man? I got a whole education on Japanese whiskey and where it comes from and the different because I just want to know, why is it $500 a pour, right? I was like, does this thing
Yeah.
clean your house or what? I
Yeah.
mean, what does it do for $500?
I felt like class was in session. We were sitting around that Cantonese cuisine that night, right? That's where we had
Yeah,
um those funky, what are those things called that we had? Dim sum, something like
dim
that.
sum,
It looked like
dim
something out
sum.
of Charlie
Yeah,
the Chocolate Factory. There it is. That's what we ate.
I said Hunger Games because of the blue. Yeah,
I mean, it took us
it was
for
a
I
little
it didn't
weird to
take you
eat,
long to get
honestly.
into it, but it was. Well, I was hesitant at first. I was just like, I don't. I feel like it's not gonna. The texture is not gonna match how pretty it is, But at any rate, LeadsCon was fantastic. We made some really good connections. Not even just for us. Like there was a couple times where I had some folks come in. Um, the old what do you do question, right? And when I found
Yeah,
out what they were looking for, it was great to like know other people in the space and then make those connections. Like literally walk them over across the floor, do a warm handshake, do some introductions, and then just be like, peace out and walk away. And that's just one thing that I think that you and I, in addition to building relationships, is also just like for ourselves, for any of our partners at the shows as well. So we had the Troutman firm was there,
yeah,
right? And actually I want to take this time real quick to congratulate you for getting approved to be on the board for Reach, which is an organization headed up by Eric Troutman at the Troutman Firm and Queenie Pooja. Responsible Enterprises Against Consumer Harassment is what
yep.
Reach stands for. So I'm going to take just a few minutes since you're on the board. And my first question is, why has this become an organization that has materialized and that Eric and you and some of the other folks on the board have spearheaded?
Yeah. So kind of how what REACH acronym is for, right? Responsible Enterprises Against Consumer Harassment. When you look at that and you look at the FCC and all the regulations that are coming down, not only in the lead gen space, but in a lot of space that deals with call centers, especially in the outbound world, they're heavily regulating to a point where, the last, NPR or whatever, NPRM was basically could shut down the lead gen space. So Reach was created of like-minded individuals that want to do this right. So lead buyers, lead sellers, tech companies, those type of individuals that don't want to see the lead generation space go away because of bad actors.
Yeah.
So we are creating a responsible organization filled with people that do it the right way,
Mhm.
and trying to not only get the awareness out there that we are cleaning up the lead gen space and forcing these bad actors to move away, but we're also creating an environment where other lead buyers and lead sellers can join and do business together and
Yeah.
understand that they're doing it the right way.
What companies kind of like, constitute the board so far? What have you seen? Like, are there like other dialers? You said buyers and sellers and stuff like that, tech
Yeah, I
companies,
mean,
like anything?
buyers and sellers of leads, right?
Mhm,
And me and you come from that background, so we know tons of those companies. You have Active Prospect and some others that are tech companies that are in the vein of trusted forms,
mhm,
in the vein of being able to have a product set. Companies that deal with fraud, right? They say that 40% of a lot of the leads in the industry are fraud. And so,
mhm.
um, the idea of coming together as a group to create an organization that's doing it the right way and being able to say to the FCC, there's another way, right? We're good actors. We are helping the industry move forward, and this is something that we're going to try to find some middle ground on some of these regulations that's coming out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think what we should do, and we'll get this done, is we'll put a link in the description,
Yep.
and it's going to be the TCPA world. Okay, we're going to put a link for everybody in the TCPA world where you can get some, really great content, some articles, and there's some articles specifically about reach, right? And just kind of walks people through everything you just kind of scratched on.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if you get a chance, go into the description, click the link, and make sure you educate yourself a little bit there as well. So,
We had
um,
kind of our first get together, right, at
yeah,
in Vegas, and
yeah,
that was amazing. I actually learned a lot more about the Troutman firm.
yeah,
Queenie Pooja, and the fact that she's this, Spartan, literally Spartan. She does Spartan races and is like an ambassador,
yeah,
top 1-2% of females. So the Troutman firm, seeing that how they made up their group and their culture of these high performing, you know, Laker cheerleaders, athletes, stuff like that is amazing. And
yeah,
you know, I'm glad that they chose me and NobelBiz to partner with them to try to, help this industry.
yeah. Absolutely. That's right. We did have that after hours event there. So I think I grabbed like four. I grabbed like four Troutman hats when I left. And I know I left it a little bit later than you and Christian, but I got to hang out a little bit longer, and I snagged four because I had a golf tournament that weekend after we got back. So I handed them out to my team and had some pictures taken with them. I'll send them over to Eric, but I wanted to and all my golf guys, like, they're not into the tech vertical. They're just like, these hats are pretty cool. What is it? And I had to do a little bit of
Big
explaining, but
lion on there.
so he had a black one, he had a gray one, and a white one, and I shouldn't have grabbed the white ones.
Yeah, it's gonna sweat.
I'm gonna be washing them like every other week. It's ridiculous.
Well, let me put it
So
this way: if I was a lead gen company and something happened to me and I needed somebody to represent me in the
yeah,
TCPA environment,
yeah,
my first call would be to the Troutman firm. I'll tell you that right now. Those guys know their stuff. They're high performing. They dive in 100% for their clients, and I appreciate what they're doing. So
yep, absolutely, absolutely. So, I want to scratch just for a few minutes, and I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole. Uh, 10 DLC.
yeah,
Because I know that we are going to unpack this a little bit further in either an upcoming episode or even on one of the webinars that
yeah, we could probably
we
invite a
do as
guest, maybe
well.
Christian or somebody can hop on and
Yeah,
really
but I
educate.
did wanna give an opportunity for us to just introduce it to some folks that might not. So yesterday, I followed up with a client out in Wisconsin, right? And they've been a client of ours for a bit now, and and she said, "Hey, I got this email from you guys on registering our number, or it's gonna go." And she didn't read the full email. She didn't understand what it was, right?
Sure.
But that's exactly what it was. It was like, "Hey, listen, this is coming down the pike. So even for all of our current clients, we're getting them way ahead of the curve. Our clients that are using SMS and getting all those I's dotted and T's crossed for them way ahead of time." So that's essentially what the conversation I had with her was. But you know, why don't you explain just a little bit in layman's terms for, maybe a supervisor or even an owner or a director that has heard of it but doesn't know exactly what it is yet.
Sure, yeah. 10DLC is a form of being able to do SMS. There's usually a couple different kind. You have short code, long code, 10DLC, and toll free.
Right.
And so 10DLC kind of is the new, not really new, but it's a registration type process that you have to do with the carriers in order to get your SMSs delivered. And so it's a vetting type process to where you need
Yeah.
to know who you are, what type of vertical you're in, and then obviously some snippets of the type of SMS that you're sending, so on and so forth.
Right.
Unfortunately, if you're not complying with this, your SMSs will just not go through in this vein. So it's something that if you're not familiar with, that you need to educate yourself on. Talk to your vendor, talk to your dialer company, talk to your SMS company. They'll be able to walk you through the steps that you need to take. But again, it's another avenue that I see the carriers and everybody coming together to try to clean up some of the activity that's happening. So just a quick snippet when robocalling was at its peak and the FCC stepped in and they tried to smash a lot of this illegal robocalling, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, there wasn't as much regulation in SMS texting as there was on the phone call side.
Right.
So a lot of the actors just shifted, right? And you probably get some of them, Brad, where you'll get a rogue text message about maybe your house or maybe something that's not even, something that you looked for. And so, they're trying to, kind of manage themselves, right? So the carriers are like, hey, let's put this together. All the major carriers are involved. And but on the end of a call center side, if you're not compliant, you're not ready for that, then you need to do that today. Like not next week. Like by the end of the month, I think it's supposed to be enacted and we're at the 23rd. So
yeah. So it sounds like a microcosm of the efforts that Reach has, right? On a more overarching, you know what I mean, like ecosystem of lead gen, where it's just like self-policing. Let's do it right. Let's do it right the first time. Let's start it right so it ends right, But corralling all those guys, getting everybody in line, getting everybody, on a standard and understanding how to do things ethically is no small task.
And it's not. And then unfortunately, there's a lot of good actors that get caught up in some of this regulation and or policing that that they just need to be able to adapt and change some of the way that they do business. Anyways, we're here to help. So if any of our current customers or future customers need any more information about it, me, you, NobelBiz, we're willing to help out and make it happen. So
gotcha. Perfect.
Yep.
I think it's that time for us to go back and talk about some of the things we've experienced in the past.
So this segment is a flashback.
So flashbacks. Today's flashback. I shot you the brief memo. What was your most stressful moment? Working either as an agent, supervisor, manager, whatever, anything in the call center. And I'll go first this time because you went first last time with a fantastic. By the way, before I talk about my story, I got people completely have nothing to do with our vertical, nothing to do with call centers. But these are people, like business people that are at a pretty up their level with other organizations, larger organizations. Literally commenting to me, man, Mike's story was amazing. He's like, I could completely, it was so relatable. And they could just tell, like, you've told that story so many times and that it was like something that happened to you yesterday, right? Like and I was like, yeah, I was just like, kind of try to keep it real with our podcast. And this is what it is, there's a bunch of stressful moments, right? Some of them our memories try to forget. but then the ones that pop up that you never forget. For me, it was so we had this dialer that wasn't an auto dialer. It was more of a one-to-one. I guess it was an auto dialer, but it went one-to-one manual. So it just queued up your manuals for you, right?
Gotcha.
So you still had to like sit through the rings. You still had to like either leave a voicemail, not leave a voicemail, disposition, get off it, right? So very inefficient, right? Initially to start, because it was back in the day.
Yeah.
And additionally, there wasn't data curating or filtering or segmenting, or like the dialer did not have the capability to look at the list that you were dialing on and then, remove certain dispositions. So there was a manual process to this. And any ops guy that's out there knows what I'm talking about. In fact, two of the prospects that I'm bringing on board now literally were doing this a month ago. They were downloading their lists, comparing it to like results, scrubbing, removing dupes, making sure that formatting was fine, and then reloading it. So I'm doing this. Like I am exporting, I am downloading, I'm bringing lists together, I'm scrubbing them against production lists, I'm scrubbing them against DNCs, I'm scrubbing them against themselves, and it's just like, I mean, I got my PhD in Excel work through trial by fire, literally. So I had, I don't know, 4 or 5 different sheets up. And I had probably 2.5 hours work into this. And like I was really close to having the lists ready to go for the next day. And I was working on this again. It was early enough that there was like fold out tables. And my computer was just it wasn't a laptop, had a string going down, just plugged in. And the person that I was working with got up to go get a drink of water or something like that, walked by, tripped on the power cord, and completely unplugged my computer. And I did not have an autosave setting set up in Excel or anything. I lost 2.5 hours of work. Oh, and by the way, the call center was already closed, and it was around 9:00 at night. I stood up. I think I blacked out a little bit. The whole thing went blank. I saw what happened. There was 3 people in the room. Everybody gasps, and I just stood up and I just walked out. I walked out. I was screaming inside, absolutely screaming inside. I was just thinking to myself, like, somebody's got to stay till like 1 in the morning to get this job done, so the call center can be up and running. And it's not going to be me, even though I knew it had to be me, because if it wasn't me, whoever was going to do it was going to be there until 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so it's not, the building wasn't burning down, right? So it wasn't like, holy crap, the dialer's dead. But at the same time, it was just like, that's that the data has to be ready to go. It has to be
Sure.
ready to go. So like and so I talked to some of these operators and these dialer guys, today, and they have the automation set up, right? Even with our system, with the NobelBiz system, it's just like, you can filtrate, you can waterfall, you can do all these things, right? And then if they have to get in there for a particular segment, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, dude, imagine if
Right.
you're doing this for your entire contact list
Yeah.
from all of your lead sources. So sometimes I have to just like woosah,
Yeah.
and just be like, I completely understand. I'm sorry that took you 45 minutes out of your time to fix that, And then I do not tell them this story. Now some of them will see it now and they're gonna email me and be like, dude, you talking about me?
Right.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about you.
I think a lot of people have the experience with not saving and losing hours and
Oh my
hours worth of
gosh.
work, which is terrible.
No, it was the
But
first one that
I'm
popped in
sure
my
you
head.
learned a lesson, right? Like you need to save your work or have auto save on.
Yeah, and I moved my office. I was like, when I'm doing this job, nobody's allowed within 10 feet of me. It's like
Right.
I roped it off, and I was just like, when I'm doing data and I'm doing setting up leads and stuff, you cannot come near me, you know.
Right.
And I wasn't even like a director then. I was just a worker. But I walked around like I owned the place, and I was just like, I'm doing leads. Do not talk to me. Do not get near my computer. You know. So that was the first one that popped into my head, thinking
Sure.
way back, like what was one of my most stressful moments, and it had to be losing all that all that work.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
Well, when you kind of brought up the topic, there's one big event that happened, I guess, in my call center career, and this really has to do with managing or being managed by people that we've all dealt with, maybe unruling or people that we had to win over.
Mhm.
So think about this. Just had my son, right? My oldest, move my family from Kansas to Virginia, 20 hours U-Haul. I'm 19. My first opportunity to be like kind of help open and run my own call center.
Yeah.
So everything's going good. We're 6 months in. The manager of the site, I was the number 2. So I basically was taking care of the call center when the center manager was gone. There was really two lines of command there. And so, he started, getting in trouble or so on and so forth. And they brought in a regional manager. Well, unfortunately, this regional manager was somebody that I worked with in the past when I was an agent, that based on my other story last session, I was kind of cocky, so on and so forth. And so he walks in and literally we're in the middle of the shift and he's like, hey, Mike, what's up? And I'm like, hey, Craig, or I won't say his name, but I said, hey, how's it going? And he's like, he goes, I really think that we need to fill this place up. I know you're the number 2 and so on and so forth, but I think we're going to make you our new agent / recruiter. And so granted, I moved my family. I'm the second guy in command, and now I'm literally bumped down to a guy that puts flyers on a car.
Mhm.
And so this was a challenging point in my life to where I thought it was unfair. I was being, demoted based on a prior relationship, not based on what I've done and done for the company. And so I went home and I told my wife, pack up. We're out of here. We're
Mhm.
done. We're leaving. I have no chance of ever doing anything with this guy in this position because he hates me from past stuff. And my wife's, we sat down and we were making a plan, like, how do we get back home? And she was like, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, you never ran away from challenges in the past.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? Listen, I'll give it 30 days. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to prove to this guy I'm going to be the best damn recruiter you've ever seen in your life. I'm going to fill the place up and you have to turn to me for more responsibility. And that was just kind of my young eagerness, like, I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And, before we used to have these lead sheets that would show all the interviews that we had for the day, so on and so forth. We were averaging maybe 10 interviews a day. I just hit everything. The cops were being called on me for flying Walmart, for hanging up signs. I went from 1 sheet to like 8 sheets of 10 within a very short period of time. And so I just kept grinding, man. I just put my head down. I said, I'm going to prove to this guy. And slowly he had to turn to me. Hey, I need you to cover this or cover that, so on and so forth. And then he got in a little hot water because of performance. And he knew I could help his performance. And so he turns to me and says, hey, I need you, man. I need you for this. And so deep down inside, I wanted to tell the guy, dude, take a hike, right?
Yeah.
Like, look what you did. You didn't know me, blah, blah, blah. But then again, that inner drive said, okay, this is my shot.
Yeah.
So I did. And I took over. I saved performance. Shortly after that, about 6 months after, he sent me to open up my own new center in Texas. And so I think we've all dealt with a manager that had a personality that you had a couple choices. You either would fly, take off, or you fight and you earn respect and you drive and you learn how to deal with that and come out the other side, not only as a better person, because it taught me a lot of skills internally of what I could do and put up with, but also now to the day, that person would respect me. They would, they created a relationship to where they can count on me for anything. And so, anyways, that's my dramatic story, I guess you would say, of a stressful time. And I mean, this was one of the supreme stress, because if I would have left and ran at that time, there's no chance I would have probably spent the last 25 years in the industry,
right? Right.
being where I'm at, growing, developing.
And you had
So
just moved, right? Was that Kansas City to
no, it
that
was,
where
yeah,
was
it was Parsons, Kansas, which, Kansas to Martinsville, Virginia. So I mean, it's 20 hours, dude. And you're at this time, you make no money. You're up and coming. I just had I mean, literally, my son was born 3 weeks before I left.
Yeah.
I left my wife there to get like all the checkups and stuff, and then she was coming later. There's a whole nother story we'll talk about between that, the car breaking down, and I've told
I've
you
heard
about it,
the car breaking down story
yeah.
is
So anyways, I
insane.
learned a valuable lesson, during that time, that, sometimes it's better to fight than flight.
Yeah. I agree. So listen, really good stuff. I'm gonna plug it. If you have a really good story growing up in the call center, you're in the call center now, hit us up. I'm gonna actually put a form together. Again, you'll see it in the description where you can actually fill out some information if you want to be on the podcast. Just click the link in the description. We'll get that form out to you, and fill it out, send it in, and we'll respond. Vet you out a little bit. Make sure you're not gonna, tell us too crazy of a story, because we all have brands to represent, right? So, yeah. Anyway, it's good stuff. So anyway, let's get to what we got. News, chews, and brews. All right. So I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because I feel like my mic's. So news this week. Our buddy Carl is going to be having a webinar specifically on self-service work for your contact center. Okay, so I scratched on it a little bit a couple weeks ago with a webinar that I had done, and there was a lot of interest. So a lot of my Q&A for my webinar was actually geared toward what does self-service tech look like in the call center space, or like the inbound space, right? So I caught onto it. We connected with marketing. We got Carl on board as well, and he's done a ton of research. He's got a really good presentation for that. You'll see that in the link in the description as well, to view that as well. So I just wanted to plug Carl, and let everybody know that they can check that out as well.
Dude, what's awesome about Carl is he built it, right? Like he's had to do this with his own hands and his own mind, and create self-service processes for call centers that he used to run. So you get that, you don't get that tech side of, I want to sell you some technology. You get that side of, man, this is what I went through, and this is how you can learn from my mistakes and what I did. So excited to see you two pull that off. And I'll be watching for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. March Madness started last week. I had one eyeball on it. I don't care. Honestly, Mike, let me be honest. I don't care this year. Villanova's my squad. They're going through a transition year. I think the Big East has 2 or 3 teams in the Sweet 16, which is great, right? I'm a Big East guy. Villanova didn't make it. They got bounced in the first round by my alma mater, which really pissed me off. Like, I'm a huge Nova fan. So new coach, bunch of injuries, young team. That's where I'm at. Okay, I'm done. Now, having said that, we had what, a 116 upset? FDU knocked off Purdue.
Yeah.
Do you watch college basketball at all?
I do.
Yeah.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
We got bounced.
FDU. We had I feel like this. How does Eric Troutman like slither into like all the crevices of our show? Check this out.
Yeah, he does.
We had it queued up to just, we had a note to talk about this just for our input. And then like 2 days ago, he and Queenie are literally driving through Jersey, pull over. I don't even know. I imagine that's like, I'm gonna say it's like 2 a.m. but it's probably not.
Right.
And they're just like, hey, FDU, way to bounce Purdue.
Awesome.
So those guys were actually on
Characters.
campus. Absolutely insane. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, KU lost to Arkansas. Bill Self, I hope he feels better. I know he didn't make the tournament. I think he went in for being sick, and he ended up having some stents or something put in. So,
yeah.
Rest up, heal up, champ. Still the greatest comeback ever in history last year. You'll be back and at it again. So, but it's exciting. I mean, there's still some. Is Providence still in there, or who's still in there now? That's kind of the Cinderella story.
The Cinderella.
I know. I
don't know.
On,
You're putting me on the spot. I don't know. Like I said, I had
you
one
don't
eyeball
know. You
on
don't
it.
know. It's cool. I know your team's not in it, so it's like when your team doesn't make the playoffs. You're like, oh yeah, great. Super Bowl. Oh yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Who cares? Show me the commercial.
Patriots are in there again. Woohoo!
No, that ship
Super
sailed.
Bowls
It's like
I
we're so
barely watched.
beyond that right now.
Yeah.
Furman. It looks like Furman got beat. I don't even know.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Any other call center news that you've seen? Any other takes? We have an event coming up, right?
Yeah. So next week we're not out west. We're staying on the East Coast, which I'm really thankful for. Like I'm grateful. I don't mind the travel. I don't. But I got to tell you, a straight shot from Philly to Orlando. That beats hopping from Philly to Chicago to Detroit, then out to Vegas, then out to Scottsdale. I mean, it's a long day. When we go west, it's all day. And you get there and it's just like you're wiped. You still got to set up. But so I'm thankful and grateful that we were at Enterprise Connect next week. Huge show. I don't think it's been a while since I've been at a show that's going to have like all the big players. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what.
It is. It's a big show. I'm also looking to network with standalone workforce management companies. So if you're watching this, I'd love to talk with you. If you're a workforce management solution, I'd love to talk business. So, but I'm excited to be there. A lot of contact center peeps. I think it'll be a great time. Florida's nice this time of the year. It's been cold here in North Carolina lately, so we're just now kind of turning that corner.
That's what you get. It's actually warm today.
Yeah.
Up here.
No, it's warming up now, but last week was freezing. So, but I think my plug for the news in the call center space is still got to be Omni regulation. The things that are coming down the pipe. So, you're going to hear me harp on it for the next 6 months is preferred method of communication. We really, as an industry, need to realize that there's other channels that are less harassing. And we need to make sure that we are tracking and we are educating ourselves on how customers prefer to be reached out to. And it's going to save us time and money. And so my news is omni-channel. My news is at Enterprise Connect. If you're going to be there, please swing by, say hi to me and Brad. Yeah. Eventually, we want to have one of these podcasts at a show, which would be amazing, and we'd love to have you as a guest. So,
yeah,
that's my news.
In the future, I might change my headline.
Okay.
I'm not a Gen Xer.
Oh,
my sister-in-law convinced me. I'm a Xennial. You know what a Xennial is?
Not a clue, man.
The Xennial is like this bridge generation. That's bridging. I don't even know the generation before it, and the millennials. So I don't know if Gen Xer actually is Xennial. Maybe it is, but it's not. I'm not millennial, so I'm saying that. So maybe I do have it right. But anyway, we're the generation born between 77, and as late as 84. And so we could take on character traits of the generation before us and right after us.
Well, we're unique, right? Because we are the first generation of cell phones. We were just talking about that. Like early on in my career, I sold the Ericsson prepaid AT&T cell phone. It was this big, and it had a little bitty flip thing. I think if you're
it only covered the mouthpiece, right? The flip
that's
part.
Correct.
And the numbers stayed exposed. I think so John Johnson rocked one of them down in Miami Beach.
I had a section of my call center that did that, and then I had a section, believe it or not, that did SkyTel pagers. So I was in that crossover.
Yeah.
Of pagers, cell phones taking over.
Yeah.
And I thank the Lord that there was no cell phones when I was in high school. Because the incriminating evidence that would have been on video is crazy.
The overflowing.
The tracking. I used to write my parents a note, be back tomorrow. That don't work nowadays. Like the cell phone is changed everything, especially for kids trying to pull quick ones on their parents.
Yeah. We got them locked down. We put all of our kids on Google, and I lock everything down. So we know, like, if they download any, like, I get notifications on everything. If they change a setting on their PlayStation, it pings my cell phone. Like, I'm kind of the old. I don't apologize for it anymore.
I know. I'm old school. I'm trust but verify. So I'll give you the rope, but the second you trip, right, it all goes away. So, anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's I'm gonna do some more digging into this.
Yeah, you gotta tell me more about what is it called?
The more I read on it, the more I read about it, the more I'm like, yeah, no, that's right. You know, Xenial.
I always think of like Zealot, but that's not the right one.
XENNIAL. Xenial. And S is plural. So I might have it right with the Gen Xer. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are writing about it, and character traits and whatnot. Like, they're the ones that bridge the divide between an analog childhood and a digital adulthood. So we're the ones that not only use the apps, but we're the generation that built the apps. And there's the generation before us didn't build the apps, they're just using it. And the generation after us didn't build the apps, they're just using them.
Well, we've seen the same transition in the call center space, right? So you kind of talked about the one-to-one. When I first started call center, we used to help do the punch boards in the room for the phone lines, right? And I'm not old, but
the
technology has went really fast from having a dialer physically in a call center to now it's all cloud-based in AWS or wherever. So a quick down and dirty plug for NobelBiz, our main sponsor, that they have a contact center cloud solution. You can be anywhere in the world, and it's amazing omni-channel. So if you're in that space, please look up NobelBiz. We'd love to help you.
All right, I think we got our takeaways. I think we're done, right? Can I go to takeaways?
Let's finish it.
Perfect. First of all, because I don't want to forget, Andre, thank you. And I'll say it again at the end. Takeaway number 1. Enable your autosave. You have to enable it. Takeaway number 2. Stop harassing people. Do your research. Figure out what you need to do to be compliant and get on board. Click the link for TCPA World in the description. Do some reading, understand what reach is. Reach out to Mike, and then we'll also talk some 10 DLC as well. All right. So enable your autosave and stop harassing. Anything else, buddy?
Fight, don't fly.
Fight, don't fly.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.